Hello, Patriots. Welcome to another episode of the Ryan Samuel Show, where we just cut through all the BS, all the nonsense, and give you the cold, hard facts. Elon Musk recently went on Joe Rogan a few days ago, as a matter of fact, 2 days ago. This was kind of a surprise to me. I didn't know he was going on. I would have waited for the drop. But it kind of just came across my feed. Now, Elon famously had his falling out with Donald Trump, which we knew was going to happen. We talked about it on the show when he took over Doge. I had said, I wonder how long this is going to last, because these two, tycoons of industry are going to butt heads at some point. If you got a room full of lions, they're going to fight. So the whole interview was awesome. He didn't just talk about Doge. He talked about some other things too, which we're going to cover and go over. He's been on the show before. Famously, he went on, and then he went on, and J.D. Vance went on, and then Donald Trump went on for the election for 2024. Now, there's some very interesting and key things said in the podcast, which we're going to watch. I got a 20-minute clip of it. Okay. And we're gonna kind of cut it apart, look at it. He does have some insights into the economy, into Donald Trump and the administration. We did see him and Donald Trump make up at Charlie Kirk's funeral, and then Elon famously posted it and said, "For Charlie." So we're going to go over that. Do not go anywhere. We will be right back.
Hey, Ryan. Hi, this is Sarah Palin.
Ryan, Donald Trump Jr.
Harsh to win, see you. Hey, everybody, I want y'all to check out a fellow Marines podcast.
My name is Ted Nugent, and I got a call from my buddy Ryan F. Samuels, and he wants me to tell you that he's a working hard, playing all-American son of a who is celebrating God, family, country.
Welcome to the Ryan Samuel Show, one of the top political podcasts in the United States, where we have a healthy distrust for government and mainstream media. The Ryan Samuel Show is a raw, unfiltered look at American politics. Follow on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Rumble, and all podcast platforms. Here is your host, Ryan Samuels.
So here is the clip. We're just going to get right into it. I'm going to comment on it. We're going to watch it. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, put them in the chat below. If you're listening on the podcast, you can send a text to the show if you have a question. We will read it in a later episode. But let's just watch this.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
That's the nature of the scam. It's a bank shot. So then the rebuttal from the Dems is like, oh, well, the vast majority of the people who are marked as live in the Social Security Administration weren't receiving Social Security Administration payments. That is.
So basically, he's breaking down the scam of how the Social Security.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
That's.
The Social Security scam that Doge found with people who have Social Security numbers that are 250 years old, and they're getting Social Security payments. And all of these billions of dollars in scams that Elon Musk uncovered with his Doge team.
That's the nature of the scam. It's a bank shot. So then the rebuttal from the Dems is like, oh, well, the vast majority of the people who are marked as live in the Social Security Administration weren't receiving Social Security Administration payments. That is true. What they forgot to mention is they're getting fraudulent payments from every other government program. And that's why the Dems were so opposed to turning off, to declaring someone dead who was dead, because it would stop the entire all the other fraud from happening.
And so, but all this, is it trackable? Like all this other fraud,
it's
if
totally
they
trackable.
wanted to, they could chase it all down.
Yeah, it's not even hard.
And yet they're opposing chasing it all down.
They're opposing chasing it all down because it turns off the money magnet for the illegals.
Wow.
So basically, what he's saying is that the Democrats have created a system that attracts illegal aliens to the United States. They come, they get a Social Security number, and no, they're not getting Social Security payments, right? Which is what the Democrats say. But they are getting everything else. They're getting the SNAP, the welfare, you name it, the programs they're getting, the medical insurance. It's happening. It's really happening. And to hear somebody who is now a Washington insider, somebody who was at the head of the train, driving the car, who was hunting down all of the fraud, waste, and abuse within our government. That's what he was there for. To kind of go into detail on it is kind of compelling. You know, Elon has no stake in the game. And I've always said this about Elon. He's already a multi-billionaire. Probably will be the world's first trillionaire. But there's no advantage for him to be hated by Democrats and now Republicans too. I will never hate Elon, by the way.
Because it's very logical to like I'm saying the most common sense things possible. If someone's got a birthday in Social Security that is an impossible birthday, meaning they are older than the oldest living American or were born in the future, then you should call them and say, excuse me, we seem to have your birthday wrong because it says that you're 200 years old. That's all you need to do. And
then you would remove them from the Social Security database and make that number no longer available for all those other government payments.
Exactly.
Wow. And how much money are we talking?
It's hundreds of billions of dollars.
And this is all traceable. Like, you could hunt all this down.
Like, you don't need to be Sherlock Holmes here, is what I'm saying.
Well,
we don't need to call Sherlock Holmes for this one.
Is this part of
the... We just need to call the person and say, excuse me, we seem to have the... we must have your birthday wrong because it says you're 200 years old or were born in the future. So could you tell us what your birthday is? That's all you need to do. It's that simple.
But all these other government payments that are available that are connected to this Social Security number, it seems like if you just chased that all down, you would find the widespread fraud. You would find where it's going.
Yes, but the root of the problem is the Social Security Administration database, because the Social Security number in the United States is used as a de facto national ID number. You know, that's why, like, the bank always asks for your social. So, like, any financial institution will ask for your Social Security number.
It sounds so insane that this isn't chased down. I mean,
I agree.
That in and of itself that's such mishandling.
Yes.
But that's what the government has always done. The government has always mishandled everything. The government does not have the capacity, the wherewithal, or the motivation to chase it down. Why would the Democrats chase down a system that allows illegal immigrants to get Social Security numbers, to then get benefits, to then vote for Democrats? They would never chase that down. Politicians' pay isn't based on performance. They don't make commission. They don't get a bonus for knocking down the national debt. That's not how this works. They get paid either way. Even shutting the government down, we're over 30 days of the government shutdown, and guess who's still getting paid? Not our troops. Not our disabled veterans on SNAP benefits. But Congress and the Senate are getting paid. So there's no incentive for them personally to open up the government. Like, if they were starving themselves, at some point, they would open up the government and they would come to a resolution. So this is nothing new. The only thing that's new about the stuff that Elon uncovered is the fact that we're learning about it. The fact that we're actually hearing about it. The fact that it's actually being investigated.
No, it's mind-blowing. So, yeah, it's crazy.
Well, you were very reluctant last time you were here to talk about the extent of some of the fraud, because you're like, they could kill me because this is kind of.
What I was saying is that, if you create to be pragmatic and realistic, you actually can't manage to zero fraud. You can manage to low fraud number, but not to zero fraud. If you manage to zero fraud, you're going to push so many people over the edge who are receiving fraudulent payments that the number of inbound homicidal maniacs will be really hard to overcome. So I'm actually taking, I think, quite a reasonable position, which is that we should simply reduce the amount of fraud, which I think is not an extremist position. And we should aspire to, have less fraud over time. Not that we should be ultra draconian and eliminate every last scrap of fraud, which I guess would be nice to have, but we don't even need to go that extreme. I'm saying we should just stop the blatant, large-scale, super obvious fraud. I think that's a reasonable position.
It's a very reasonable position.
Yeah.
And
nobody in government wants to do it. Why? Why wouldn't they want to do that?
What was the most shocking pushback that you got when you started implementing Doge, when you started investigating into where money was going?
Well, I guess I should have anticipated this, but while most of the fraudulent government payments especially to the NGOs, go to the Democrats, most of it, I don't know, for argument's sake, let's say 80%, maybe 90%, 10 to 20% of it does go to Republicans. And so when we turn off funding to a fraudulent NGO, we'd get complaints from whatever the 10% of Republicans who were receiving the money, and they would, they would very loudly complain, because the honest answer is the Republicans are partly, they're receiving some of the fraud too. They're getting a vig.
Jesus.
So everybody in government's on the take. Republicans or Democrats. Anybody out there shocked? Surprised? But it is mostly on the Democrat side. We know that. We've always known that. But Republicans too. Now here's what I want to know, Elon. What Republicans? I want to know who they are. I want them brought before the Judiciary Committee. I want them investigated. I want them arrested. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. Fraud is fraud. Stealing from the American taxpayer, stealing from the American taxpayer. The biggest problem in our federal government is that it is so corrupt that nobody's ever held accountable. Accountability is key. If we're not going to hold Republicans accountable because Republicans are in office, or how do we know Republicans and Democrats aren't working together? And somebody's taking from the same pot as Nancy Pelosi or AOC. And they're working these deals behind the scenes. But now you know what they have. Now the Democrats have dirt on the Republicans. So now the Republicans are going to fight to protect Democrats because a handful of them are in with the scam that the Democrats are pulling. It's horrible and sad to see that our nation has come to this, but this has been going on forever. I mean, we had the Teapot Dome scandal with Harry Daugherty. I mean, our country, FDR was probably one of the most corrupt human beings in American history. Didn't even leave the office. That's why they had to pass an amendment to the Constitution like a few days after he died. His body wasn't even cold yet. And they wanted to make sure nobody embodied that office for longer than 2 terms ever again. That's how bad he was. But power's corrupt, and this is just more of it. They've just gotten better at hiding it.
Yeah, I want to be clear. It's not like the Republican Party is some ultra pure paragon of virtue here.
No.
Okay.
Well, you see that with the congressional insider trading. It's across the board.
Yeah.
It's left and right.
I mean, the whole uniparty criticism has some validity to it. There's so and it's like if you turn off fraudulent payments, it's not like I said, it's not like 100% of those payments were going to Democrats. A small percentage were also going to Republicans. Those Republicans complained very loudly. And that's so there was a lot of pushback on the Republican side when we started cutting some of these funds. And I tried telling them, like, well, 90% of the money is going to your opponents, but even if they're getting 10% of the money,
they want their piece.
Yeah, they want their piece.
And they've been getting that piece for a long time.
Yes.
Did you
This
think...
is why, politics is like...
It's dirty business.
Yeah, I mean, that's like saying if you like sausages and respect the law, do not watch either of them being made.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Well, that's not even true because I've made sausage before.
Yeah. It's actually
it's not that big a deal.
It's
You add
much better than
fat and
politics.
spices and casing, run it through the machine. Not that big a deal.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think the stuff I'm saying here is not like if you stand back and think about it for a second, like, oh yeah, that makes sense,
Yeah.
It's not like it's not like one political party is going to be pure devil or pure angel. There's I think there's much more corruption on the Democrat side, but there's still some corruption on the Republican side.
How
too.
did it happen that the majority of the corruption wound up being on the Democrat side?
Well, because the transfer payments, especially to illegals, are very much on the Democrat side.
So that's the root of it all, is the illegal situation.
Yes, I mean there's
Or a focal point.
Yes, it's also like it would also be accurate to say that while obviously not everyone who's a Democrat is a criminal, almost everyone who is a criminal is a Democrat. because the Democrats are the soft on crime party. So if you're a criminal, who are you going to vote for?
Right.
Or if you're the head of an organized crime syndicate and you make millions of dollars through crime, who are you going to donate to? Who are you going to make sure gets elected in the area that you're committing crimes? Are you going to make sure that the Republican who swears that he's going to lock everybody up for gambling or selling drugs, right? If you're a drug kingpin and you're smart, you're influencing political elections. So why would you want a Republican in office? You don't want the hard on crime people. You want the soft on crime. And that's why you see, so part of the reason you see a lot of big major cities that have huge drug problems and money problems and crime problems are all ran by Democrats. That's part of the reason. It's because they're soft on crime. So, number one, they release these people back out on the street who commit more crime. And then you have criminal organizations influencing elections through donations to keep people in crime that are soft on crime so they can continue to do crime and make money.
Right.
The soft on crime party.
Did you think you were going to be able to get more done than you were?
We did get a lot done.
Right.
And Doge is still happening, by the way. The Doge is still underway. There's still waste and fraud being cut by the Doge team. So it hasn't stopped.
It's less publicized.
It's less publicized, and they don't have like a clear person to attack anymore.
Well, it seems like once you stepped away,
they're basically they applied immense pressure to me to stop it. So then I'm like, the best thing for me is to just cut out of this. And in any case, as a special government employee, I could only be there for like 120 days anyway, something like that. So whatever the law says. So I was necessarily could only be there for 4 months as a special government employee. So, but yeah, I mean, you turn off the money spigot to fraudsters, they get very upset, to say the least. But my death threat level went ballistic. Was like a rocket going to orbit. Yeah. So, but now that I'm not in DC, that I guess they don't really have a person to attack anymore.
Well, the rhetoric about you has calmed down significantly.
Yeah,
it was disturbing. It was disturbing to watch. It was like, this is crazy, and to watch these politicians engage in it, and all these people just like framing you as this monster. I was like, this is so weird. Like, this is what happens when you uncover fraud.
Yes,
the whole machine turns on you. And if it wasn't for a person like you who owns a platform and has an enormous amount of money, like, it could have destroyed you.
Yeah.
And that was the goal.
The goal was to destroy me, absolutely.
Because you were getting in the way
of
this amazing graft.
This gigantic fraud machine.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think Doge team's done a lot of good work. In terms of fraud and waste prevented, my guess is it's probably on the order of $200 or $300 billion a year, so it's pretty good.
That's a ton of money that they save, $200-300 billion a year. Now the problem with government is they're not going to take that to pay down the national debt. What they're going to do is they're going to take that to the $300 billion and they're going to spend it on something else. That's the nature of government and why it's evil, and I abhor it. That they never actually save anything.
What do you think could have been done if you just had like full reign and total cooperation? How much do you think you could have saved?
I mean, what level of power are we assuming here?
Godlike.
Oh yeah, I could probably cut the federal budget in half and get more done.
That is so crazy. It is so crazy.
Yeah, get more done and federal budget in half.
It's that widespread.
You got to remember too, Elon is a famous business tycoon. I mean, when he bought Twitter, he fired like 80% of the staff because they were just wasteful and they weren't producing. And he turned it around and made it extremely more profitable. So he's highly efficient. He's not very well liked by his employees, but he is highly efficient at making things profitable. So he could, I have no doubt in my mind, if you give Elon Musk full reign over the national deficit, he could knock it down in no time, because it's not being managed by the most talented people. The most talented people don't go into politics. The most talented people, they go into big business and they make billions of dollars. They don't go to Congress and make a couple $100,000 a year. The best and smartest and brightest people are in our capitalist industries. They're working at Apple or Google or SpaceX or Tesla. They're not sitting in the halls of Congress. You have people like AOC sitting in the halls of Congress with the IQ of a mashed potato. So I think there's thousands of people like Elon that if they got into politics could fix it. I think Donald Trump has done a really good job. He's not a politician. He's a businessman. He's trying to be efficient and get things done.
Well, I mean, a whole bunch of government departments simply shouldn't exist, in my opinion.
Correct.
Like examples.
Well, the Department of Education, which was created recently, like under Jimmy Carter, our educational results have gone downhill ever since it was created. So if you create a department and the result of creating that department is a massive decline in educational results, and it's the Department of Education, you're better off not having it, because we did better before there was one than after.
When you let the states run it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because at least the states can compete with one another. But the problem is, like, you hear like cutting Department of Education. Well, our kids need education. Like, yeah, they do. But this is a new department that didn't even exist, until the late 70s.
Hey, Kat, welcome on.
And ever since that department was created, the educational results have declined. And so why would you have an institution continue that has made education worse. It doesn't make sense.
They killed it, though, right?
No, there's still, unfortunately.
But they were trying to kill it.
It has been substantially reduced.
Okay.
Um,
What other organizations? What other departments?
well, I mean, I'm a small government guy, so
Yes, Elon, talk to me.
when the country was created, we just had the Department of State, Department of War, and sort of the Department of Justice. We had an Attorney General and Treasury Department. I don't know why you need more than that.
So what other departments specifically do you think are just completely ineffective?
Well, I mean, here it's like a question. It's a sort of philosophical question of how much government do you think there should be?
Right.
In my opinion, there should be the least amount of government.
I've heard the
because-
most bizarre argument against this is that you're cutting jobs and you're going to leave people jobless. And I'm like, but their jobs are useless.
Yes, get rid of the jobs. That's always a big argument. It's always a big argument. The federal government is the biggest provider of jobs in the country. Yeah, but 90% of it is BS.
Paying people to do
detrimental.
nothing doesn't make sense.
Right.
Like there's a great it's a story about like Milton Friedman, who is awesome. Generally whatever Milton Friedman said is, people should do that thing. I'm not sure if it's apocryphal or not, but like someone complained to him, like he observed, I think, people that were like digging ditches with shovels, and he said, well, like allegedly Freeman said, well, I think you should use excavating equipment instead of shovels, and you could get it done with far fewer people. And then someone said, well, but then we're going to lose a lot of jobs. Well, then Friedman says, well, in that case, why don't you have them use teaspoons? So just dig ditches with teaspoons. Think of all the jobs you'll create. I mean, it's bullshit. Basically, you just want people to work on things that are productive. You want people to work on building things, on building, providing products and services that people find valuable, like making food, being a farmer or a plumber or electrician or just anyone who's a builder or providing useful services.
People who could actually contribute to the economy of the United States of America. People who produce things and then put them into the market and sell them, right? If you're a farmer and you have a cow, you milk your cow, you sell your cow to the public, they give you money. They have chickens, or he's a plumber and you need an irrigation system to your cow. So he comes over and installs an irrigation system to your cow. You pay him with the money you got from your milk. He takes it to the lady with the chickens. It's people who are contributing to society. 90% of the federal government is not contributing anything at all to society. It's mindless, aimless jobs. And one of the biggest reasons we have all of this is because when the income tax was passed, the federal government created so many jobs that they don't know what the hell to do with them all. They created so much money that they don't know what the heck to do with all of it. So they're like, oh, just create the ATF. But we already have the FBI. No. We need a special one for things that are legal. Hear me out. Not for things that are illegal. We're not going to call it the ATF and go after things that are against the law. We're going to create the ATF to be a law enforcement agency specifically to go after things that are not against the law, like alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. All those things are illegal. So let's get a federal agency to go after them. We have the money. Why not? Full send. Send it. And then they obviously have the IRS, who's the strong arm to force you to pay more money into the system to keep this bureaucracy going strong and to keep all these people in federal jobs being paid to do nothing, so that us, the people on the lower end of the spectrum, can keep paying into them for them not to produce but only to consume.
And that's what you want people to be doing, not fake government jobs that don't add any value or may subtract value. There's also to illustrate the absurdity of how is the economy measured, like the way economists measure the economy is nonsensical, because they'll measure any job, no matter, even if that job is a dumb job that has no point and is even counterproductive. So the joke is like there's two economists going on a hike in the woods. They come across a pile of shit, and one economist says to the other, "I'll pay you $100 to eat that shit." So the economist eats the shit, gets the $100. They keep walking. Then the other then they come across another pile of shit, and the other economist says, "Now I'll pay you $100 to eat the pile of shit." So he pays the other economist $100 to pile of shit. Then the way they said, "Look, wait a second, we both just ate a pile of shit, and we don't have any more extra money. Like we both, you just gave the $100 back to me, and we both ate a pile of shit. This doesn't make any sense." And they said, no, but think of the economy, because that's $200 of that in the economy. That basically then measure eating shit would count as a job. This is to illustrate the absurdity of economics.
What?
I mean, he's kind of right. That's how economists do think. They just care about the flow of money in the system, right? That's a big part of economics. The flow, if the flow of money in an economic system stops, that's when you get economic crashes and recessions. If ever all of a sudden everybody stops spending, right? If the entire United States of America said we're not buying anything, but people are still going to work at Walmart, not ringing anybody out, right? They're going to work at Chili's or wherever, everywhere in the country. And guess what? These places can't pay their people, so now these people can't get paid. And then they can't pay the electric bill, and they can't pay the rent, and the whole economy shuts down. Nothing's moving, nothing's working, nobody's getting paid. So that is the economy's. That's why it's an economist position that we just need money moving in the system. But he's right, though. Yeah, they discuss useless jobs too, like eating shit.
One of the things you said when
eating shit should not count as a job.
One of the things you said when you stepped away is that you're kind of done and that it's unfixable. That, or under its current form, the way people are approaching it.
You can make it directionally better, but ultimately you can't fully fix the system. It would be accurate to say that even unless you could go super draconian, Genghis Khan level on cutting waste and fraud, which you can't really do in a democratic country, an aspirationally democratic country, then there's no way to solve the debt crisis. So we got national debt that's just insane, where the interest payments on the debt exceed our entire military budget. I mean, that was one of the wake up calls for me. I was like, wait a second, the interest on our national debt is bigger than the entire military budget, and growing. This is crazy.
It's been a problem for a very long time that so it's eventually going to explode, right? It's going to explode. It's going to collapse. The society will not be able to sustain that debt. All right. Could be 50 years from now. Could be 100 years from now. Could be 20 years from now. It's going to happen. So, because no fiat currency economy has ever survived long term. Richard Nixon took us off the gold standard in 1971, where your dollar, if you took a dollar into a bank and said, give me gold, they would have to hand you physical gold because your dollar was backed by the gold. It no longer is. It's backed by the United States, who can print it at its will, and they're not restricted to only print the amount of gold that they have. So it's a balloon that is inflating and inflating and inflating, and it's going to bust. It's going to pop, and you need to be ready for it.
So even if you implement all these savings, you're only delaying the day of reckoning for when America goes bankrupt. So, unless you go full Genghis Khan, which you can't really do. So, so I came to the conclusion that the only way to get us out of the debt crisis and to prevent America from going bankrupt is AI and robotics. So, like, we need to grow the economy at a rate that allows us to pay off our debt. I guess people just generally don't appreciate the degree to which the government overspending is a problem. But even like the Social Security website, this is under the Biden administration. On the website, it would say like we based on current demographic trends and how much money Social Security is bringing in versus how many Social Security recipients there are, because we have an aging population. Relatively speaking, the average age is increasing.
And we have millions of immigrants coming in, getting Social Security numbers that then get retirements from it when they start working. Willing to bet that doesn't help the situation. But yeah, Social Security is going to run out.
Social Security will not be able to maintain its full payments, I think, by 2032. So Social Security will have to start reducing the amount of money that's been paid to people in about 7 years.
And so the only way to fix that, robotics, manufacturing, raise GDP.
You've got to basically massively increase the economic output, and the only way to do that is AI and robotics. So basically, we're going bankrupt without AI and robotics, even with a bunch of savings. The savings, like reducing waste and fraud, can give us a longer runway, but it cannot ultimately pay off our national debt.
I don't think, I don't think we're ever going to be able to pay off our national debt. They've been talking about it for forever. It was a major hot button issue during the Obama years. It's been a major problem for forever. Ronald Reagan famously ran on that he was going to reduce the national debt, and he never did. So now they're talking about Social Security and how it is basically it's unsustainable to itself because of the massive amounts of fraud, number one. Number two, that the population is growing, or the older generation is there's more people to support on it than there are people under it. Okay. They're going to run out of money. So they got to do one of two things. So they got to either jack up what you're paying into Social Security, which is a tax, or they need to cut the program. They can't cut the program because they have a freaking ride on their hands. So they're going to have to increase it. Now, here's Joe Rogan back the last time Elon was on in April talking about Social Security.
Those are the people we have to protect the most. We have to make sure that there's no disruptions. You got to make sure before you do anything, there's no disruptions. You know, before you shoot the bad guy, make sure he's not holding a baby. You can't interrupt. Like when people are on Social Security, man, they're fucking. If they're that's not a lot of money. Right? And so, they don't have any money in the bank probably. No. And they probably have it all budgeted out to get on that check. And they're probably real frugal with their food choices. And that's a rough life, man. And if you cut that off for 30 days, 90 days for people. Okay, never missed a benefit payment. U.S. Social Security Administration has never missed a benefit payment. Now, the continuity of monthly checks for millions of Americans could be at risk following changes under the Trump administration, former Commissioner Martin O'Malley says. So it's saying, okay, so the key points is it's saying before this, they've never missed a benefit payment.
But it's also not saying they are missing them now. It's saying it could be at risk.
Okay, it just says threaten interruption of benefits, which is, look, what I would say if I was a Democrat. If I wanted to make it look bad, I would say they're threatening your benefits, and then people go into a hot panic.
Yeah.
They're talking about Doge back then. This is back in April. But that's what he had to say, that basically these people in there don't have a lot of money. And it's freaking true. They don't have a lot of money. But I do think it needs to be looked at if all of these people, if they're like the fraud is what they need to look at. Here's another clip about Elon Musk on climate change.
You see, your boy Bill Gates is now saying climate change is not a big deal. It's like, relax, everybody. I know I scared the fuck out of you for the last decade and a half, but we're going to be fine.
Yeah. I mean, as I was saying just before coming into the studio, like every day there's some crazy, wild new thing that's happening. It feels like reality is accelerating.
It's every day, and every day it's like more and more ridiculous to the point where the simulation is more and more undeniable.
Yeah. It really feels like simulation. It's like, come on, what are the odds that this could be the case?
You see, your boy Bill Gates is now saying.
So Bill Gates is now saying that climate change is not a big deal anymore. I don't know. What do you think? You think climate change is real? I don't know. All right, let's listen to this clip.
Yeah, I mean, I said at the time, like, I think that the reason for acquiring Twitter is because it was causing destruction at a civilizational level. It was
period, full stop. Elon Musk purchasing Twitter was the greatest achievement for free speech in my lifetime. That was one of the most selfless acts for the benefit of mankind I have ever seen. Twitter was completely and utterly out of control. It became a safe haven for far left lunatic pedophiles, an echo chamber for far left wing ideology. And what he did not only saved Twitter, but it saved the country because it allowed the real America's voice to come through and other people to get involved in the conversation and then eventually get Donald Trump elected. It was
causing destruction at a civilizational level. It was. I mean, I tweeted on Twitter at the time that it is. It's worm tongue for the world. Like worm tongue from Lord of the Rings, where he would just sort of like whisper these, terrible things to the king, so the king would believe these things that weren't true. And unfortunately, Twitter really got like the woke mob essentially. They controlled Twitter, and they were pushing a nihilistic, anti-civilizational mind virus to the world. And you can see the results of that mind virus on the streets of San Francisco, where downtown San Francisco looks like a zombie apocalypse. It's bad. So we don't want the whole world to be a zombie apocalypse. But that's that was essentially, they were pushing this very negative, nihilistic, untrue worldview on the world, and it was causing a lot of damage. So
the stunning thing about it is how few people course corrected. A bunch of people woke up and realized what was going on. People that were all on board with like woke ideology in maybe 2015 or 16, and then eventually it comes to affect them, or they see it in their workplace, or they see it and they're like, well, we got to stop this. A bunch of people did, but a lot of people never course corrected.
Yeah, a lot of people didn't course correct, but it's gone directionally, and it's directionally correct. Like you mentioned, like the massive spike in kids identifying as trans, and then that spike dropping after the Twitter acquisition. I think that simply allowing the truth to be told.
Yeah, and that is true. So after the Twitter acquisition, and they started the conversation came up, that the actual spike in trans people and children went down. Because they're like, people no longer did it for social benefit or social brownie points or to become social media influencers on Twitter.
Just shedding sunlight is the best disinfectant, as they say, and just allowing sunlight kills the.
Well, that's true. Sunlight is the best disinfectant. That's why Democrats are like vampires to the truth. Here's Elon talking about himself, considering himself as a centrist. I want you to notice something about his shirt. It's missing an E from Tesla. That's Elon without Tesla, which is he's always good at puns.
That's why, I think you're centrist. I mean, I think I'm centrist. But from the perspective of someone on the far left, we look right wing.
Yeah.
They think anyone who's a Republican is basically like some fascist Nazi situation.
But what's so crazy is like it's very easy to demonstrate just from like Hillary's speeches from 2008 and Obama's speeches, like when they were talking about immigration, like they were as far right as Steve Bannon when it comes to immigration.
Yes.
Hillary was like very MAGA. I'm sure you've seen that campaign speech, which she was talking about if anybody's committed a crime, get rid of them. And if you're here, you pay a hefty fine and you have to wait in line. It was really crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, Democrats change with the masses, and the masses have become super liberal. Hey, Cassandra, welcome on. And Mary Smith, welcome on. No, I think climate change is a scam. Yes, I do too. For sure.
To listen to because it's as MAGA as as Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Yeah, I mean, have you seen these videos people post online where they'll take like a speech from Obama or Hillary, and they'll interview people on like college campus or something and say, "What do you think of the speech by Trump?" And they're like, "Oh, I hate it. He's a racist bigot." I'm like, "Just kidding. That was Obama." No, actually, that was Obama or Hillary. To your point, like literally the
center's been moved so far.
Yeah.
The left is
the left has gone so far left that they need, they can't even see the center with a telescope.
And the danger.
I mean, I've been saying that for years. That's why they think when you say something rational and logical that you're some far left Nazi, because they've moved so far left that you are all the way to the right. But that's Hopefully we're getting out of that now. Hopefully we're shifting this country back, and we really need to win these midterms. And for my California people, make sure you get out and vote no on Prop 50. That's the redistricting of California to get more congressional seats. Make sure you vote no. Here is Joe Rogan again talking about Trump getting elected and how they didn't want him and they did everything they could to stop him.
This is one of the good things about Trump being elected and Trump in office is that it kind of threw a because they didn't want him to be the president, and it threw a monkey wrench into all these things that they were doing. And you get to see a lot of these people scramble, and you get to see like, oh, this is there's so much, like all the Doge stuff where they uncovered all these NGOs.
That was crazy.
Yeah. There's an NGO for, I think it's every 600 people in India.
Yeah.
You know how crazy that is? There's a non-government organization for every, I think it's like 500 or 600 people in India. There's like millions of them. It doesn't make any sense. It's crazy. It's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Elon explained it to me too. He said what you would do is you would make this nonprofit, and you would call this you'd put a bunch of money into it. So you put like $10 million, relatively small to them, $10 million to this thing, and call it like Agency for Peace, Center for Peace, whatever it is. And then that becomes a non-government organization. And then you get politicians to dump tons of money into this NGO, and then through this NGO you profit.
It's like a shell company.
Yeah. And there's a ton of those. And there's so many of them, they couldn't even keep track of them. And the more they dug into it, the more they started calling Elon a Nazi. And it just got wild.
Well, they don't like when the elites don't like when the curtain's pulled back.
Well, that was the curtain being pulled back. That was the curtain being pulled back in a way that most people were not aware. And when I brought Mike Benz in, and Mike Benz laid it all out, and he was explaining that what U.S. aid was for was the things that were too dirty for the CIA to get involved in. So a lot of it was like regime change operations. Yeah. It was like outlining all these different regime change operations that were all being paid for, and then your tax dollars being dumped into these NGOs, and then people are pulling money out of it, and billions of dollars.
It's the world's piggy bank.
Why did they stop digging? Are they still digging? Like Doge?
I don't know.
Because I know Elon's not in the White House anymore, but
it was supposed to be a temporary thing, right?
But it just seems like it all just stopped.
Well, you don't hear about it anymore. That's true. But I think it was real problematic. I mean, they did shut down U.S. aid. And they turned Elon into a fucking Nazi. I mean, how many fucking Teslas got keyed and tires got slashed, and his business was really troubled by it. And so he's like, I'm done. I'm stepping away. You guys, you didn't follow my instructions. You didn't follow my recommendations. So what can I do? You're ruining my life. So I'm just going to back out of this.
Go back to building rockets.
So he's just going.
Yeah, there's more to it than what Elon is saying, for sure.
Going back to building rockets.
Well,
and the thing is, like, they didn't even care that he rescued those people from the fucking space station, which was wild. Like, no one wanted to give him credit. No one wanted to say thank you.
No,
They're like, no, he's a Nazi.
Yeah.
People I know were calling him a Nazi because he spazzed out and went, my heart goes out to you.
Oh, yeah, we make fun of that all the time.
It's crazy.
Yeah, someone just took a still image, you know?
The guy literally has a chain around his neck that was given to him by one of the mothers of one of the hostages in Israel that says, bring them all home.
Yeah.
He wears it around his neck. That's what a Nazi does? Like, are you fucking kidding me? You think he's a Nazi? There's no evidence that he's a Nazi other than one hand movement.
Yeah.
That's it?
There's more to that, and I think Elon hinted on it in the previous video that we were watching. That the Democrats are not alone in the scam. That the Republicans are doing it too. So I think maybe Elon kind of went in a little bit naive and was like, yeah, we're going to stop this Democrat corruption. And then he started cutting off these NGOs, and he started removing the pipeline money to all of these politicians. And then Republicans started jumping in his ass. And they were like, hey, dude, what are you doing? That's my secret campaign fund. Or what are you doing with this? That's for this or for that. And they came at him very hard. And he was like just overwhelmed. Like, how are you supposed to stop that system? I don't even know how you would how you could even you would just have to tear the whole thing down. And I think that's what he says in the beginning when he's talking about you would need like complete and total utter authority to get rid of all of the fraud in the United States government. You would need to be like Genghis Khan. It would need to be insanely tyrannical to fix, which nobody wants. That's why he said he just was trying to reduce the fraud, which he doesn't think is a bad position. I don't think it's a bad position at all either. But I do think that the something needs to be done. But Doge is still up and running and is still digging deep and trying to uncover this fraud. The reason you don't really hear about it is because Elon is such a polarizing figure that they were able to attack him. What you're seeing is these smaller groups of people who are not as popular doing it now, so they're not in the spotlight, so to speak.
I mean, one thing I can say is like, look, if I was aware of any evidence of aliens,
this is him talking about aliens with Joe Rogan. I played the wrong clip, but let's listen to it anyway.
So you have my word. I will come on your show, and I will reveal it on the show.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good deal.
Yeah, it's a pretty good deal.
I believe you. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that.
I'll stick to, I keep my promises. So,
all right.
Yeah,
I'll hold you to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm never committing suicide, to be clear.
I don't think you would either.
On camera, guys, I am never committing suicide ever.
If someone says you committed suicide, I will fight tooth and nail.
Thank you.
I will fight.
I mean, one thing I can say is like, look.
That's kind of funny, but you do have to, man. I mean, what was that girl's name with the Epstein files that said that she's not suicidal and then committed suicide? But, I mean, I don't know. I think there's no reason to say you're not suicidal. We'll see. I hope that Elon stays strong, man. I hope it continues to build great rockets. I hope we can get to the bottom of all of this government corruption and move it out of our system of government and get back to basics. I hope we can root out all of this fraud, get rid of all of these departments that we do not need. I think Trump started off really good, got rid of the Department of Education, shut down USAID, and then it kind of stopped. I thought we were going to keep going. I thought we were actually going to see a dramatic shrink in the size of the federal government, something that's been promised to me my whole life that I've never really seen. Even during the Ronald Reagan years, he didn't really shrink the federal government either. He should have, but he didn't. And that was actually one of his biggest regrets, is that he didn't knock down the national debt as he promised. So, guys, if you're listening, no matter where you're listening, if you're on YouTube, Rumble, we have a lot of people on right now. YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, Twitter, X, Amazon, TikTok, Instagram, the RyanofSamuels.com. No matter where you are, hit that like button, drop a comment down below, follow, subscribe. We got some really good stuff. Make sure you check out the Ryan Samuels Show on your favorite podcasting platform. Apple, Spotify, you name it, we are there. Just Google the Ryan Samuels Show. We've got some awesome endorsements. Go to ryanfsamuels.com/shop. Check out the merchandise. Check out the gear. Pick up some cool stuff like this Patriot shirt or this Don't Tread on Me hat or this Vance 2028 t-shirt exclusive at ryanfsamuels.com. Thank you so much for tuning in. God bless you. God bless your families. And God bless America. Good night.
Thanks for tuning in to the Ryan Samuels Show. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.